Welcome to another episode of the New Labor Movement Show. I am one of your hosts, Troy.
I am the other host, Ray.
And it seems like this week we still cannot get over some of the conversations we were having in and around voting. So I think we want to just kind of dive back into that conversation a little bit more and talk a little bit about some of the discrepancies that we have amongst the Georgia voting bill.
I would agree. We have discrepancies.
All right, so let's talk about it. One thing I see with Republican voters, they take everything and base it in a framework of around what I see, what happens to me. So everything is framed around I know somebody that, or this is what happens to me, or it can't be that hard because I can do it. They always frame everything around their like circle.
But you know what it is, though? I think, unfortunately, I hate to say this, but I think when you expect less of people, that's soft racism. In other words, if you're saying that certain people can't do something just because of the color of their skin or their ethnicity, but these people exactly can, don't you think that's like that's like race? Like the fact that
the thing is that nobody's saying that. That's what you take it to mean, but nobody's saying that. And it's not we're saying, okay, you're doing it the same, but these people can't do it for the color of skin. No, I'm specifically telling you, you're putting something out and it's not the same for everybody. You can go, you don't understand and you don't even think about it indifferently because you can just go down the block and vote. Everyone you know could just go down the block and vote. So you don't even understand that in my neighborhood, I have to take 3 buses and a train. I don't have a car like you do, number one. I have to take 3 buses and a train to get to the one voting booth. And everyone has to go there and I have to wait hours and hours in line. But you don't understand that because you don't do it and nobody you knows do it. So that's why you say, I don't understand why it's not the same.
My counter argument would be, there are poor white people, right? There are people who are just as white people, just as poor as black people, right?
Yes.
Do you think they have the same trials and tribulations, or is it just black people?
No, I think they have the same trials and tribulations too, because if they live in the same economic area, they are. But the thing about it is they get caught up in the mix and they get affected too. It's just not as many of them as something like in Georgia, like the counties that they're picking and they're doing this to are predominantly
doing what to? You know, they lied and said they took away Sunday voting, and Sunday voting was not taken away. It's optional. It's up to the county.
Yes. So in my mind, with the things the way they're going, everything, when you say it's an option, it's taken away. They're not going to do it. They were taking away. They try everything to not make people vote because so the option is not going to be there.
Should there be any limitations on voting? Whatever. Like, should you have early voting 6 months? Like you can start, like there are states like Florida that start voting in September. I think that's ridiculous. I think you should have 2 weeks of early voting, 1 or 2 Saturdays. You should have a minimum amount of time you should only be using a ballot if you physically can't make it there or you're physically not going to be in the state. Other than that, everyone should get their ass to a voting booth.
Like I said, you do it, and I say Republicans do it because you do everything revolved around the world of how you operate. And it's as far as you're concerned, it's easy to go vote. Everyone should get up and go vote. It's nothing. It's nothing to the fact where early voting lessens the line, so less people can do it, and they can do it where it's more convenient. As far as you're concerned, everybody can do it. I go and do it, so everybody should just get up.
Georgia, the main thing that Georgia did is they took away some of the balloting rules, correct? They tightened that up, which is balloting is the least secure way to vote. And they added in-person voting, early voting. So it made it more secure. They made sure that
because they added a Saturday for person voting.
What happened?
Because they added a Saturday. You said that's them adding.
No, they actually added 5 days and a mandatory Saturday.
Oh, okay.
So they took away. Yes, they cut the time, I think, in half for ballots, but they added 6 extra days of early voting, and they made the standard the same. Do you realize under the old standard that you could be a white dude and vote by ballot and just you would just sign the affidavit and then you would sign the ballot, and as long as those signatures matched, you could vote. If you were a black guy and you went to the polls on election day or early voting, you had to show ID. So there was two standards for voting. they made sure now everyone has to show ID. And all you have to really do is show ID, or like you have to do either the driver's license ID or the last four of your social. That's it. It's not rocket science.
That's great. That's a great one. Now, besides that, they took away a bunch of the drop boxes which people use to vote.
The reason why they did that is because the drop boxes were basically left out there, not unsecure. In other words, and then they weren't taking the ballots all during, like they would go sometimes sometimes. So certain ballot boxes basically were wide open. Some of them were not. So what they did is they made sure they did it based on a population, like per population, you get a box, and they're going to empty out the box. The boxes are now in secure location that can't be tampered with, and they're going to take the ballots out every night and count them.
They did not do it by the population. They did not do it by population, because
Fulton County is going to get a lot. Fulton County is not going to get the same as, say, Athens. Athens has 1. Fulton's going to get 4.
Down from what? Down from
Fulton has more people.
Down from what? What did they have?
That I cannot tell you.
You're reducing. It defeats the purpose. If I can go all the way to the voting location to put my ballot in the box, then I could have just went there and vote.
I mean, listen. You request your mail. You don't get your ballot. You can still go early voting mail. You can still go the day of. It's not like it's like one and done. I mean, come on. They're giving people plenty of options.
Like I said, you have it within your realm.
And
like,
by the way, Georgia's not even the most strict. Go to Kansas City. You have to provide a state ID, and you have to provide a voter's registration that proves your voter registration is current when you go to Kansas, rather. Sorry. There are a lot of places that are a lot more strict than Georgia, but the MLB wants to do it that way. Not to mention, how about the crazy? And you know what? I would be, if MLB had an even stance, I'd say, you know what? Like if MLB said, you know what? Until all the states do it this way, we're gonna. No, they want to pick on Georgia because Stacey Abrams, God bless. I don't know what she's done, but she's got plenty of juice.
They want to make it because Georgia made these rules as a reaction to a bunch of people voting Democratic in the last election, and it's not like it's in a vacuum.
Oh, so you don't think this is about security? You think this is about punishing people?
You don't think it's about security either. You might try to say that as some excuse, but
all my kids, I think it's about security.
Okay.
So you think it's like we got to punish the black people who didn't vote for Donald Trump?
It's not punish the black people. It's just we got to make sure that those people aren't able to affect. We got to make sure those people aren't able to affect the vote again.
So, in other words, the good old boys in Georgia said, we're a Republican state. We got to stay red. And we went blue this time. We all can't have that, can we?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And you give me another reason that they looking to remove Sunday voting, and they looking to take away the ability to give people food or water or waiting on long.
By the way, again, the reason why they did that, first of all, New York State has the same thing. I think just the
no, it does not.
Yes, it does.
No, it does not.
It says you are not allowed to campaign, and what would happen is if they would give people water on the water.
If that's the case, the law is already in effect, and they wouldn't have had to add it. If it was just about campaigning, they would have been able to arrest the people that were doing it there. It's already in there.
Right, hold on. They can't arrest any. It's only a crime if you're from a campaign. You do it. If you're a poll worker, you can give anyone food and drink all you want. So it was not poll workers. It was not the poll workers out there giving it to them. It was just regular people and organizations. Again, they don't want that. That's campaigning.
No. They don't want that. It's not about campaigning. It wasn't not like you said about something or on
the water bottles and say vote for Representative so and so.
Correct. If that was the case, it would say in the law that they have any food and drinks given out cannot have campaign logos on it. So it wasn't about, we want to make sure you're not trying to scare anybody. They just don't want people giving any type of
again. That is also not true.
The people out there waiting hours in line.
If the campaign really wants to, they are allowed to put within the designated area and
unmanned. I'm not talking about that. I'm not talking about what they're allowed to do. If the problem was because people were standing in the wrong place giving out campaign logos on it, they would have put that in the law. This is the law. You cannot stand within this feet giving out waters or anything with campaign logos.
That's
They
what it
said
says.
no food, no water. That was
Right.
directly related to people giving out food and water to people standing on long lines.
Who were part of campaigns.
Oh my goodness. It was not people. It was people. You tell me every bottle of water that they were giving out was part of a campaign.
No, but in other words,
then that's
here's
it.
the thing.
You just said no, then that's it.
You're not allowed to. It's considered campaign because think about this. People are not just out there for the sake of being out there, and other people were like, I'm with the I'm with
Why weren't people out there for the sake of being out there? Why weren't people out there because they were trying to make sure that people waiting in long lines had some type of relief waiting out there to vote? So it wasn't no one out there doing that. Everyone was out there campaigning. People's draw to bring people to lines and wait for 14 hours. If you come and wait for 14 hours, I'm gonna give you a bottle of water.
It is not illegal to give people food and water. That is incorrect.
Yes, that is not incorrect. They did make it illegal
for campaigns.
No, for anyone, unless you're a poll worker.
There you go. So it's not illegal.
It is illegal. If you're
not a poll worker, yes.
So it is. So you just said yes. That means it's illegal.
But you're saying it's illegal to give it to them at all. I'm saying that there are no rules to do it.
Listen. Can you shoot somebody? Can you shoot somebody? Is it illegal? Yes, it's illegal.
Yes.
If I'm a cop, can I shoot somebody? No. Yes, you can, and it's not illegal. So don't try to mince words to make it. That's a very stupid thing. You say, "Oh, it's not illegal." Because the co-workers can do it.
New York has a very Can
you shoot somebody? It's not illegal to shoot somebody because police can do it. What kind of stupid answer is that?
I'm saying. I'm telling you, it's not illegal.
It is illegal. It is illegal.
From a campaign.
I mean, you just repeat it and saying it into the camera. It doesn't make any more sense by repeating it.
What I'm saying is the actual law. What you're saying is for some reason that
what I'm saying is the actual law. What you're trying to do is make a way to defend it.
So let me get this straight. So you think the rule is out there? So let me guess. If I'm hearing you right, in your mind, to your mind's eye, that what they'll do is they'll cut down the drop boxes. So that'll make sure that people can't vote by ballot. They'll cut down the early voting. So that means people have to go on election day. And when the lines are so long and terrible on election day, we're not going to give them food and water. So maybe they'll get discouraged and go home and not vote.
Everything you just said was put into place. So what's the way off there?
Wow. So is that what you honestly believe?
Where's the veering off of that? Everything you just said is exactly what it is.
Is that what you honestly believe?
Yes, I believe that everything you just said that is happening is happened. Yes.
So it's a plan that's not an official plan, but it's a plan that they're hoping that if you drop something here, it's going to roll downhill and everything. It'll. In other words, we're not saying it's for that purpose, but it's for that purpose.
Ray, what are you talking? Are you serious right now? Are you really serious?
Listen, you're making it seem like that the Georgia legislature is basically trying to affect the people of color. They want more people of color not to be able to vote early or by mail so they can go and vote in person. So when they vote in person, they can make it that much harder. So that way either they won't show up or they won't do anything.
Yes. Everything you just said leads to that point. What I don't understand when you say like that's a big jump.
No, that to me it sounds like you got see, I can't see the top of your head, so I'm assuming that maybe there's a tinfoil hat there.
Listen,
conspiracy theory.
I don't see how you say the conspiracy theory when everything you just said leads to that point, and you don't give me anything to contradict it. Like what other reason they have to do it? You have to tell me why the not allowed to vote, wanting people to vote on Sunday as to election security. Why removing removing the ballot boxes? Take that one. Why some of the other stuff, a bunch of this other stuff has nothing to do with election security. Removing days from being able to vote ahead of time. That's not election security. So what other reason is it than that?
I know what they were trying to do is add ID so that the status is the same. What they did is they realized that the most insecure way is to vote by ballot because you really never see who is who's really voting. So, but they added days, they added early voting days, and they changed absolutely nothing about election day. So overall, I believe the election is secure. And if by the way, and if it is, if you feel it's tougher to vote, it's tougher to vote for everybody. It's not going to be tougher to vote for this group of people or that group of people. Now, if you want to say
You
it's
keep
tougher to
saying
vote
that,
for,
but it's wrong. You keep saying that, but you're
if you
wrong.
want to say it's
It,
tougher for,
it is going to
if
be
you want to say
tougher
it's
for a
tougher
certain group than it is for
poor
others.
people to vote, if you want to say it's tougher for all poor people to vote, I'll listen to that idea because I think that maybe poor people have certain challenges. But when the narrative is it's about race, I can't go there because you're not asking anything different from anyone.
You are making no sense, and you're trying to. I don't know if you're trying to play naive or act like you're blind.
No,
When you say if you
I'm
say you
doing
believe
neither.
that, okay, they're trying to make it tougher for poorer people to vote, and then all the locations where this has happened, where there are poorer people, majority of those poor people are black. You're basically targeting those people, and some of the white people happen to get caught up in the mix while it happens.
Oh well.
Fine, casualties of war, but we're targeting those poorer black people, and this is going to help make it harder for them to vote. And
So
for
then,
you
how
to
come in
say,
every
you
election?
to act like a blind eye, like you don't see that.
I'm not. Okay, how come in this election more black people, a high percentage of black people voted than any other election in
What does
Georgia?
what does that have to do? What does that have to do with anything we're talking
It
about now with
means
the changes that were made?
if you were trying to suppress black people, the number of the percentage would go down, but the percentage keeps going up.
No. If you were trying to suppress people and people see that suppression and more people come out to vote, that does not. So all it means is like when Stacey Abrams was running for office and more people came out to vote because she had so many more people registered than when the last time, and there were also so many more people incited to come out and vote for her. That doesn't negate the fact that the governor Kemp that was running for office, also the Secretary of State handling the vote, got 500,000 people removed from the voter rolls who actually went to vote, so they couldn't vote, and the majority of those 500,000 people were Democratic voters of color. So it doesn't negate the fact.
I cannot speak to that because I do not have the facts of that. If you say that is true, then I will have to accept you on good merit. I would tend to disagree, but I'm sure you could provide the audience with data that would back that up, right?
Well, yes, absolutely, I can. One of the good ones is if you look at Greg Palast. Greg Palast does a great thing on voter suppression, and he'll go into it and break down the tactics that are used and who they're trying to target and how they do it on a consistent basis. So it's not like
who I've seen. He's done a good job though. When I fact checked him, I've caught him on a couple of things. But he has a good yarn. What's it? Killer Mike. You ever follow him?
I look
he's
at
a guy. He's from Georgia. He's like, I think he used to be a rapper, but he goes by Killer Mike, and he's like, you should look him up on the internet. You'll
I know Killer Mike.
You do, right?
Mm-hmm.
He's very knowledgeable, is he not?
He's good. He's good.
I mean, he's another one who thinks there's a big voter suppression going on.
It's not it is big. There's a big effort to have voter suppression. It's been going on for a while. I don't. I mean,
I'm not going to say that at one time in this country they didn't do that, but I don't think that is as large a effort as it used to be, because I think now the laws are such that this country is pretty egalitarian.
I mean, like I said, you see it from your point of view because that's the point of view you have. Is yes, not
I know, because
the fact
I'm so white, rich, and privileged. As you see my mansion behind me, yes. Hold on, hold the plane.
You don't have to be ultra rich or overprivileged to not understand that understand the plight of people in a different situation than you are.
I respect everyone's plight. I do.
I don't think so. I don't think you don't understand it because maybe like it's mean spirited. I just think you don't understand it. You don't know nobody that's lived it, and then so for that reason you don't really pay attention to it, and it is what it is.
Well, I'm a big proponent of what one man can do, another man can do, and I'm a big proponent of self-reliance, and I'm a big proponent of equal. I'm not about. I'm thoroughly against equal outcomes. I'm more about equal opportunities, and I think
That
that
all
most
sound
people.
good, but all outcomes are not the same because everybody's position is not the same. In New York
But you know
City,
what?
I
But
could go
there is.
anywhere in New York City at night and go get me a gourmet dinner. If I'm in North Carolina, I better get to the to the diner before 10 p.m. or everything is closed. It's just everything is not the same everywhere.
No. But yeah, I think everyone has. I think this country has done a very good job. Not perfect, obviously. No country. You're not going to find any country in the world where everyone has the same exact opportunity. All you can do is strive to have and they give everyone the same equal opportunity. And I
Yeah.
believe this country's done a very good job in that. And you'll find that. Are you going to find that there are certain cases where people, through no fault of their own, have been caught up in the justice system, bad luck, whatever? Absolutely. But you would find, I guarantee, if you did a statistical analysis, you would find out that probably well over 95 to 99% of the reason why people are where they are is because of bad decisions.
I understand that, but also it's.
But no, if you're going to try and tell me that it's harder, that you're going to tell me that it may be harder for some kids who grew up in poverty, regardless of color. Yes, I think, but unfortunately, a lot of those, there's nothing you can do because a lot of those decisions are made. You know, there's a statistic out there that if you graduate high school, if you get a job and you wait till you're married to have kids, you have like over 99% chance that you won't live in poverty. So that eliminates personal choice. But the problem is I do think
I understand that. This is what I'm saying. But knowing that, and there are those disparities, when you know those disparities are in place and you put laws in place or pass new legislation, and those laws are going to more severely affect those people that you know are already in those positions, and you do it, I ain't going to even say without the consideration. I think you do it with that consideration in mind, looking to specifically affect those people. Then that's where the problem occurs. And that's what I believe they're doing. They're doing that not because they needed to change anything or not. They do it because they specifically want that outcome to happen. And they already have documentation for the people implementing those laws saying that that's what they specifically wanted to happen. They wanted to surgically, precisely go after, without even having to say I'm going after Democrat or black people or minorities, go in there and be able to make it harder for them to be able to cast their vote or remove them from voting. It's already, all the documentation and everything is already there.
I just now I can't say it's never about race because listen, think about it, you got 50 states and each state has 30, 40, 50, 60, 70 counties. I am sure that we could go to a state that has a county where this nonsense goes on. 100%.
Let me tell you how it's not about race. So it's not about race if you say, you know what, I want to do this because I want to specifically hurt black people. If you want to say that because it's not about race because of that, then I'll give you that. They're not doing that because they say I want to specifically hurt black people. But what they are saying is, my majority of people that are black are voting Democratic, and I don't want them to do it. And I'm going to go after them. So you're not doing it maybe because they're black, but all the black people vote Democratic. So you want to go after those black.
All right, but then
so
my county,
it might not be because I'm racist because of the color of your skin, but I am still going after your group.
All right, but let me ask you this then. Then how come in a state like you have like California or New York or Massachusetts, a lot of people in the community complain that they still have long lines and this and that. And those are very democratic states, which very liberal. And why would black people still be, or people of color? You have to say, or probably people of color. Why are they still suffering according to those people in those communities?
Because I told you, it's not, if you're looking at it as they're trying to go after black people, they're not trying to go after black people. They're going after the Democratic voter. And it just happens that a lot of those voters.
Now, why would New York City go after Democratic voters?
New York is not. I don't see where you say that New York is make changes.
Well, look, I hear you hear complaints that when you go to certain, like you just said, you're a black guy, you live in New York City, that I can walk over and it takes me 10, 15 minutes to vote. You have to go and go through all this just to vote.
I don't know. In New York City, I don't know. I have never heard in New York City where anyone complains about waits like they do in these Midwest countries like Georgia and stuff, where they wait in 10 hours, 14 hours in line to vote. I haven't heard that.
Honestly, I don't think any of these politicians care about anyone.
I would say it might be just that. If I haven't looked at the information that was given and seen how they specifically go after and remove polling places, poll sites, and do stuff to directly hurt communities that vote primarily Democratic. Now, it just happens that those counties also happen to be large population of Black as well. So it may look like, okay, I'm going after Black people. Maybe that's the thing that make it easier for people to digest. Yeah, it's not that they're going after Black people. They're going after Democratic voters. And unfortunately, a lot of those voters happen to be Black.
You know what? We'll leave it up to the viewer to decide for himself. How about that?
All right. So at least for now, I am one of your hosts for the New Labor Movement Show. I am Troy.
I'm Ray.
And we are signing out.
Our problem is that our investigation found in just Georgia alone that nearly 200,000 voters were wrongly tagged as having moved from their home, dying, or being imprisoned. I was at a polling station in Atlanta where one Black person after another said, I went in to vote and they said I couldn't vote anymore, including Martin Luther King's 92-year-old cousin. And what Georgia's done is say, these people have moved. They said that they got this information from our post office, which keeps track of who moves. But the Palace Investigative Fund, we talked to the post office. We hired their official licensees who said, we don't know where Georgia got this list. These people have not moved. So what they say is if Lydia Gonzalez registered with a middle name and she has a piece of ID that only has her middle initial, Lydia Gonzalez is going to lose her vote in Georgia. Not every state has this. Only states that are afraid, frankly, of voters of color who have fewer pieces of ID, official ID in America. Interstate cross-check. They'll find thousands of people with your name, and they'll say, well, you've already registered in another state. There's a new gimmick being used by the Republican Party to remove voters of color. It's called use it or lose it. That is, you don't vote for one or two federal elections, and they send you a postcard saying, have you moved? Now, look, you can't lose your vote in America because you decide not to vote. We have the right to vote or not to vote. Well, if you're a student and you've moved your dorm room, you're a renter and you've moved to a new apartment, you don't get your card, you lose your vote. That's un-American.